Hey everybody, Fusion Simulations here. Today I wanted to show you how you can make a relatively simple change to your screenshots to dramatically transform them from this to this. So we're going to be covering this using GIMP. It's been a long time since I have used Photoshop, but I fully anticipate that what I'm about to show you will translate pretty seamlessly to Photoshop. So I will leave a download link to GIMP. It's just a free version of Photoshop, basically. And there's the download link, and I will leave you to that. So the first thing we want to do is pick a screenshot. So I've got some images here. Right click, open with GIMP. And the first thing you want to do is over here on the layers screen, layers tab, right click, add alpha channel. If it's not in the big bold white text, then it already has an alpha channel applied. But I think most screenshots, you will need to take that step. Okay, now all we need to do is delete the background. And the quickest way to do that, if you come up here to what looks like the little wand with the star on it, fuzzy select tool, click this. And I believe that this threshold is defaulted to 20 usually. And we click. Now it didn't select all the screen or all the sky. So we hold shift and we click. And we just keep holding shift and we keep clicking around. I want that smoke in there still, so I will leave that. So it's a little hard to see, but it's basically outlined the outside of the tractor. But I've got some other bits of sky that I need to get rid of as well, so still holding shift. Find all the little nooks and crannies and windows. And if you need to zoom in, hold control, mouse wheel, then back to shift. And I think we've pretty much got everything. And that little bit right there. Oh, missed two other spots here. Here. And on the outside. I think that's good for now. And then we simply hit delete. And then to get rid of the squiggly lines, you do Control Shift A, and that will remove the selection. Now we need to add a new sky. I am going to go with this cloudy background. So again, open with GIMP, and then simply copy, paste. And you'll see it says floating selection. Just click the little green create new layer icon. Click your original image in the layers tab and drag it up. Now you may know that your particular sky image has a particular element to it that you want to really make sure you capture and not just leave it like this, because you could just leave it like this. Just click back on the sky layer, come to the move tool, move. I like to click once in, and then depending on how precise you need to be, you can either arrow up and down. I'll hold arrow up, or you can drag. And you'll know when you run out of space when you start seeing the checkerboard background, transparent background. So I think that looks pretty good right there. And you're done. That is how simple it is. Now, there's a caveat to it. It depends on the background and the exposure and the color of your tractor, because that selection tool may or may not select things you don't necessarily want it to. You may also have other background elements that are really hard to truly get rid of the background on. So I've got a good example. Our friend Scorpion's Edge asked me to do this for him, and I thought it was a perfect example for a slightly more complex issue that you may run into. So you can see here we have lots of little trees everywhere, and we also have a clock and another HUD icon still on the screen. So again, add alpha channel. We're going to start with our fuzzy select tool. We're going to click, and again, hold shift, and we're just going to click around and get as much as we can. And you can try to click on the little white. Sometimes it doesn't quite catch it. And I'm just trying to paint a broad brush right now. So I'm not going to worry too much about all these little trees and crevices and stuff right now. So I'm just going to hit delete. And I missed a few spots. And that's fine. And now we're going to Control Shift A to clear our selection. Just kind of resets it all. We're going to come up to Eraser tool. And over here on the eraser properties, you have size and hardness and shape. Change it as meets your preferences. I like just a big circle, especially when I'm just deleting this background. And delete. And we're done. And we may have missed some spots, and those will become evident when we add the sky in, and we'll go over that if that happens. So now you can see we've still got a big problem with all these trees. Now, depending on the sky background that you put in, that may not be a problem. If you do something like a dark, more like a nighttime sky, which I will demonstrate here, I've got this nice moonshot. There is a simple way to get rid of that, any issues like that. So again, copy, paste, do the create new layer, drag up, and I'm going to click on the image, the new sky image, and I'm going to drag it up. And you do have to be careful that you don't go too far this way or this way, and pay attention to your exported image, because sometimes you may not have lined it up just right and it won't look very nice. And I'm going to arrow down just to get it where I want. And I've obviously got a huge problem with all these leaves. So we have the fuzzy select tool, but if you right click, select by color. So we're going to say select by color. And then holding control, I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to click. And that selected maybe a little bit more than I wanted. So I'm going to do Control Shift A, and that will clear it out. And I also just realized I made a mistake. When you go to make your selection, make sure you are back on your original image. I was not. Now we select by color again. And we hit delete. And there's still some blue around these trees. Let's zoom in a little bit. And click. And delete. And still some dark colors in there. Click. And delete. Again, if you want to clear all this out to see better what you're clicking on, Control Shift A will get rid of the selection. And click. And delete. And Control Shift A to clear it. And let's scroll out and see what we've got. And that looks much, much better. And it saves us having to go and try to click in all those little nooks and crannies of the leaves, which you could do, but it would take you a very long time. Lastly, I wanted to demonstrate one quick thing that on the initial fuzzy select tool. Back to what I mentioned earlier about it depends on what your background, your baseline background is. as well as the exposure, the color of your tractor or your implement. So we're going to come back up here to our fuzzy select tool. And I'm gonna demonstrate by setting this threshold a little higher than I think it normally is by default. I'm gonna click. Okay. Immediately there's a problem. It's selected part of this tanker, and I'm just gonna demonstrate here by doing delete. See, it's just deleted part of that tanker. We definitely don't want that. So I'm gonna Control Z to delete, Control Shift A to remove the selection. I'm going to come back over here to this threshold, and we're going to turn it down. We're going to try 13. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. And now you can see it has not selected that part of the tanker. However, it still is going to select this part of the fin, the scoop. So you kind of have to weigh these out when you make your screenshot selection for what you want to apply this to, because sometimes it just, as good as the screenshot is, it's just not the best for fixing the sky images, at least not quickly. Let's just try and see if we can crank down the threshold a little bit and see if that fixes it at all. So it made it no better. So you could play with the threshold to see if you could get it to not select that. You could certainly try to change the image before you begin editing. Entirely up to you. So lastly, we're going to come back to our starting image, and we're going to export this out. So you come to File, Export As, pick your folder, give it a name, Sky Tutorial. And if it defaults to PNG, you can just type in, so if it defaults PNG, you can just change it to JPG per your preference. Hit export. You'll get an export quality option and all this other stuff. However you want to do it, makes no real difference. Export. And here's our image. So I hope you find this very useful. It really is a game changer. Of course, you can then, if you have a YouTube series or want to create some thumbnails, you could then go in and apply all your thumbnail coolness and make it really stand out. So I hope this helps. Please leave a comment if you have any further questions. Like I said, I have not used Photoshop in quite some time, but I am willing to bet that there is a magic wand type of tool and probably a similar select by color option to where you could apply this. Lastly, I did want to share, and I will link this in the description. Of course, you can just Google sky images. If you want to, I tend to find it's limited in size to much smaller resolution sizes. There's this website called Wallpapers Mug where you can go in and search for skies. And just as an example, if we click into one of these, I wouldn't necessarily use this one. You have a whole slew of options here on resolutions. So if you run it at 1440, you've got an option there. If you want to do, some of these actually have triple wide monitor options if you want to do something like that. So this is where I've been using, this is the site I've been using to get a lot of my sky images. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, I hope this is very helpful. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you are not already. Thank you so much. Bye for now. Hey everybody, Fusion. Take you.